Morning. My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Was that like an authentic look at Greek culture and Greek life?
Pretty close. Just like Zorba the Greek. Most Greeks will seize any opportunity to have a celebration. And growing up, that was certainly the case for me. Being with my family and the Greek Orthodox Church, there was always, it seemed like every weekend there was a party.
Something big going on. Okay,
yes.
And the next question, too, then kind of follows into that one. Is it true that Windex is good for anything, like cuts and scrapes and stuff like that?
Well, I think, as Gus said to Tula, actually your name is a Greek name.
Yes,
by
it
the
is.
way. In My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Greeks gave the world many things: philosophy, architecture, the wisdom of Windex, and of course Greek cuisine, which is the most ancient of all.
Oh, all of those things are so great too. Okay, so now that we've got My Big Fat Greek Wedding out of the way, which, by the way, is one of my favorite films of all time. What a great and funny film that was. Let's talk a little bit, because even in the movie they had a Greek restaurant, and that's what they did for a living. So tell us a little bit about Greek cuisine. It's been around for millennia, actually, and it's really one of the healthiest ways that you can eat.
Yes, many people are surprised to hear that, because the typical Greek American food that you may think of getting in a Greek diner or have seen would be
baklava.
Yeah, baklava.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Things just moussaka and spanakopita, spinach pie made with butter and all sorts of fattening ingredients. And really, that isn't the indigenous diet of the Greeks. The Greek diet and Greek cuisine actually can be traced back millennia, before the time of Christ, before the ancient Greeks, even the time of Homer. I mean, Homer in the Iliad and Odyssey wrote about the rural Greek diet, and he mentioned, of course, olive oil and bread and olives and wine, and all of these parts of the rural Greek diet can be traced back maybe even to the Paleolithic era. So
we're going way back.
It goes all the way back, and
Yeah.
we even have, of course, a written history of it, and it's even prehistory.
Now,
yes.
Now, of course, you talk about this historic way of Greek cooking, but things have changed. I mean, in Greece even, really, haven't they? Because of like the westernization of the culture with processed and pasteurized foods and stuff like that. Have things changed a whole lot?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, in the big Greek cities, they have, and they've been very westernized, just like any other big city. But once you can still find the original diet in the rural villages of Greece, and many of them are completely isolated, such as the village that my grandfather was from in the mountains of Tripoli. I've had an opportunity as a teenager to spend summers there, and it was really like stepping back in time, and it's still like that. They're so isolated that even the modern technology still hasn't quite reached them there. And the age-old dietary traditions are still part of their lives.
Now, from what I understand, the people who imbibe in, as you say, the age-old dietary traditions of the old way of Greek cooking have a very, very low rate of heart disease and things like that. So why is that?
Right. Well, we always knew that for some reason, these rural Greeks had extremely long lives. It typically would live to be 100 and more. I mean, my grandparents, great-grandparents lived to be, 100 years old or more. So old, people didn't know how old they were. And finally, studies were done in the 60s called one landmark study called the 7 Countries Study, comparing European countries as well as the U.S., and that's when they found, research found that the rural Greeks, and of course, again, it's the rural Greeks. In this particular case, it's the Greeks in the island of Crete, had a 90% less risk of heart disease than Americans, and a 50% less risk of heart disease than Italians, which is very interesting because Italians are another Mediterranean country.
Yeah, and those numbers are astounding, absolutely astounding.
That's what started the tremendous push to do research on the Mediterranean diet. Since that time, hundreds and hundreds of studies have been done. And as a exercise physiologist and a nutritionist, I found that the Mediterranean diet, and in particular the Greek Mediterranean diet, has helped my patients and clients with many of their health challenges. And
now, why is this diet so healthy, though? I mean, what is it that makes this diet so healthy?
Sure, and this has also been very intensely studied. And in the 90s, the Harvard School of Medicine, as well as Harvard School of Public Health, and Old Ways, the Old Ways company, put together the traditional Mediterranean diet pyramid, which you may or not have seen. It's similar, to the USDA pyramid, and set forth what made and based it on the Greek Mediterranean diet. Of course, there's many Mediterranean countries, and they all share similar aspects to the diet, but they based it on the Greek one since they had the longest lifespan.
Life expectancy, right.
Right, than the other Mediterranean countries. And so if you see the pyramid, you'll see that on the bottom of the pyramid, the biggest part, is made up of plant-based foods. And that's fresh vegetables of all kinds. In particular, tremendous quantities of green leafy vegetables, fresh fruits, whole grains, such as whole wheat pasta, whole grain bread, bulgur, and nuts, and, of course, olive oil. And going up the pyramid, you'll find that in lesser quantities are poultry, eggs, and fish. And those are just eaten several times a week. And go up to the tippy top of the pyramid.
Meaning the things that they eat the least.
Right, exactly. What you eat the least are sweets, which are really eaten on special occasions, although Greeks love to party, so there's lots of those. But still, it's not necessarily daily. I mean, a Greek dessert really is, a piece of succulent, fresh fruit and some goat's milk yogurt, thick yogurt. That to them is a delicious dessert. Oh,
so we're not talking about like baklava and things like that on a regular basis.
That's just brought out on a very special occasion, such as Easter, and just comes once, a couple of times a year, and that's about it. And then at the very, very top of the pyramid, that's eaten the least, just once or twice a month, is red meat, such as lamb.